Thank you very much. We can be seated. Your Excellency, Liberata Mulamula, Minister for Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Emma Kawawa, Chairperson of the Tanzania CEO Roundtable, Women's Roundtable, as well as Bengi Issa, Executive Secretary of the National Economic Empowerment. It's a pleasure for us all to be here this morning, having the Pan-African Women Economic Summit 2022, of which, Your Excellency, the aim is to bring together Pan-African women of different backgrounds and experiences to push forward the economic agenda in Africa. Today, Your Excellency, we have women from all walks of life who have with them a lot of experience, having done some transformational work, which is commendable, and everyone has something to share today. And as we know, July is also when we celebrate the Pan-African Women's Day on the 31st of July, but also in taking forward the agenda on the African Women's Decade on financial and economic inclusion, we have this summit today. My task is not to say much, but it is just to welcome you all. And at this point, I would like to welcome Emma Kawawa, who is the CEO, Tanzania Women CEOs Roundtable, to say a few words before we proceed. And we also have, Your Excellency, some speakers who have to catch a plane at noon. So we will reschedule a little. If you have seen the schedule, we will reschedule a little so we can have the benefit of their presentations before they go. But at this point, may I invite now Emma Kawawa, CEO, Tanzania Women's Roundtable. Karibu.
Your Excellency, Honorable Minister Liberata Mulamula, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Your Excellency Beng Issa, Executive Director of National Economic Council, Your Excellency the President of Tanzania Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Mr. Paul Koi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored and I'm pleased to stand here on this day to speak to these powerful women from Africa. Welcome to Tanzania. It is not easy to prepare an event or to prepare a conference, but we have to start somewhere. All of you as women leaders, all of you as women organizers, as women in business, as women in politics, have got a journey. Today, we come together here to talk and to speak, to engage and do business together simply because we want to work together. I will start with my main word. I normally put it at the end, but today I'll put it in the front. Collaboration. This is what we're here for. As you remember, July 31st, we celebrate the Pan-African Women's Day. It is celebrated everywhere, but the rich nation came from AU, and it was launched here in Tanzania. This is where the root of the Pan-African Women Organization. Our late president, Mwalimu Nyerere, had a mission, had a vision on what we can do in this continent as the people of Africa. And he didn't leave behind the women. We should celebrate that. But he had a vision. Even remember that women should be part of this journey. So as we come today together, we're coming here to speak on how we leverage together and how we continue from where our former fathers have left and how we move on. Your Excellency, I thank you very much for agreeing and accepting our request to participate in this big event. It's not easy to understand what we are speaking, but it's easy to say what we are doing. That's why we are here, and we share what we do. I have the honor to bring some delegates outside our country whom have never been to Tanzania. This is their first time, from Nigeria, from Cameroon, from South Africa, from Kenya, from Uganda. They all want to know where is this beautiful country of Tanzania, where the land of Kilimanjaro is and the beautiful Spice Island of Zanzibar is. This is their first time, and I know with our Tanzanian fellows, we will show and share we will show our hospitality. Tanzania is famous for the biggest hospitality and tourism. You're most welcome. As you said, I'm here to welcome you all. I don't want to speak much about what we have in mind, but as we start the first day today, we are here to share what we do in our small spaces or in our spaces. We have women leaders here, women in business, women in politics, but how do we come and connect and work together? We have to stop this. Today we're having silos left and right. We have people working, I don't know. We are all leaders. We don't want to compete, but we need to complement. When they're here, there is an event in Cameroon on women on trade. We should all call together and celebrate her. When we hear there's a woman in Nigeria doing something which is remarkable, we must celebrate each other instead of working in their silos. And that's why we're here to connect our networks and to see how we can work together to leverage the aim of cross-border trade, the aim of doing investments, the aim of having a movement, having the women's voice together. We cannot work alone. We need a unity. We need a bigger crowd to have our words to be heard. So that is why we're meeting together. And as we said, we focused 3-4 main issues, which is agriculture, finance. Of course, finance, we cannot leave it because that's what we need. And we also focus leadership, because without good skills and technology, the leadership is gone. And last, we embrace the technology. We have all the mechanisms. The governments are here. They give us they make the condition, they give us the environment, they make the environment for us to do business. But what do we do in return? How do we enhance? How do we increase more businesses? How do we increase more production? How do we do our legal things? Because we have all sorts of women doing different work in that sphere. So this is what we want to share, and we want to learn from each other, from west to south, from north to east, so that we all come in one word, that one Africa and one unity. Welcome very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Emma Kawawa, for that welcome and reminding us about the cause of the Pan-African Women's Organization, the Pan-African Women's Movement, because it's a transformative movement that has no end. We carry it forward for those who come behind us, for our children, for the young generation. So whoever comes finds the trees, the seeds of which we have planted as women now, or were planted by our foremothers and forefathers, but the younger generation also comes in and finds what we have done, the legacies that we have left, and they carry it forward, they leave their legacies, and so and it goes on and on and on. It's never ending, but that is why we say it is Ubuntu, it is Umoja. It is all of us being who we are because of who everybody else is. Now, we have Madam Shipra Chisha, who is, well, she's a transformative woman, Your Excellency. She's a mover and she's a shaker. I will just quickly read through her bio so you can understand who she is, what she's done, where she's come from, and the potential that she has. Ms. Shipra Shisha is the founder and president of SADC Women in Business and the global executive head of the BRICS Institute, which is a highly accomplished and she's a highly accomplished executive director of companies and a social scientist with over 20 years experience in successfully developing and implementing company strategies, which provide long-term vision for organizations, business model strategists, and sustainable community development experts throughout mining communities across the continent. She's an entrepreneur, and she's also a well-respected strategic thinker, which is why we are all here today, how to strategically move forward and share the ideas and skills that everyone has in this room today. And she is the founder of the SADC Women in Business, which is an entity set to unify voices of women-owned businesses in Southern African development countries, representing the fastest segment of the economy in Africa. So she works to propel women entrepreneurs in business and social power worldwide to ensure they benefit in the new ACFTA to achieve sustainable development goals and drive the Africa Strategy Agenda for 2063. Put your hands together, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, for Shipra Shisha. Karibu-san. And if you allow me, I will fix this mic.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Minister Liberata Mulamula, Your Excellencies, I must start by apologizing for speaking before the Minister speaks. I am catching a flight to Geneva, and please forgive me, Your Excellency. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, and the chairperson of the Graça Machel Trust, Ms. Giselle Yitambeni, it gives me a great pleasure to be here today and an honor to represent Mrs. Graça Machel, who would have loved to be here with you today, but unfortunately could not be with us. Due to prior commitments, she could not be here today. I am Shipra Chisha, as it was mentioned. I'm the African Women in Business President, and today I stand representing two organizations, the African Women in Business as well as the Graça Machel Trust as its Director of Programs. As we celebrate the summit hosted in celebration of the Pan-African Women's Day, or Women's 31st July and 60th year of the Pan-African Organization, commemorated in July 1962 here in Dar es Salaam, so we're making history. We congratulate Emma, the Women's CEO Roundtable with National Economic Empowerment, and for jointly hosting the Pan-African Women Economic Summit 2022 to position African women and ensure that they are in the forefront of execution of the AFCFTA through creating business linkages, create sources of capital, share experiences, as well as build partnerships to enhance entrepreneurial capabilities. In the recent session held in Nairobi to brainstorm the development of Women and Youth Protocol, His Excellency Wamkele Mene reiterated that Can I continue? I think that is fine. Thank you very much. His Excellency Wamkele Mene reiterated that it is now time to reflect on how to translate proposed solutions into innovative, practical, implementable, and enforceable legal instruments, hence the rationale of the meeting that we had to brainstorm on the Women in Trade Protocol. Inclusiveness in the context of the African Continental Free Trade means that benefits from opportunities offered by the African Continental Free Trade are widely shared across all segments of the population, including women and youth. Put differently, he said, the AFCFTA, or the African Continental Free Trade, aims to achieve less inequality, equal opportunities, and equitable distribution of well-being in society of its state parties across different classes, cultures, as well as communities and gender. He said inclusiveness in the context of the protocol on women and youth in trade also means engaging stakeholders who are directly affected by the protocol. So it was a great pleasure for me to form part of the brainstorming session. African Women in Business, the Pan-African organization that is very much aligned with the Pan-African Women's Economic Summit mission, which is African Women in Business looks at assisting women in trade and investing in 8 priority sectors. That is getting ready for the AFCFTA and making sure that women are indeed ready. So we look at 8 sectors and currently looking at how women entrepreneurs will benefit from the implementation of the AFCFTA. Founded in 2019, the African Women in Business, previously SADC Women in Business, was created to be a direct support of the SADC Secretariat objectives stated in Article 5 of the treaty, to achieve development on economic growth, to alleviate poverty, to enhance the standard and quality of living of our people in Southern Africa, to support social disadvantaged through regional integration, as well as to implement the AFCFTA within the region and implement Sustainable Goal 1, 5, 8, 9, and 10, and support the African Union Agenda 2063. In particular, to support the cross-cutting pillar of the industrialization strategy of the SADC, which is focusing mainly on women and youth. Our objective is to strengthen the wealth-creating capacity of its members, promoting economic development within the entrepreneurial community, transforming public policy and opinion makers to ensure that improved skills in trade, in investment, as well as ICT, and also providing finance to women or finance in the region as well as the global markets. African Women in Business is represented, as it was mentioned, in 11 of the 16 SADC nations, and we're currently onboarding Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, and Ghana. In the past few years, we acknowledge that although the impact of COVID-19 pandemic was evident around the world, the severity was most felt by developing countries, and especially within these respective economies. COVID-19 did not only widen the already existing gender gap between men and women, but it brought a lot of hurdles for our women, which include but not limited to skills gap, to information, to access to finance, as well as control assets that can be used to obtain the needed funding. Over 90% of the MSMEs faced tough economic hardships during this time. However, it was clearly visible that women-led businesses were the most hit or the most impacted to a greater degree, and loss of revenue due to informal nature of their enterprises. The women-led businesses that suffered heavy losses were mainly in hospitality, we all know, in trade, in education, in construction, the manufacturing sector, a resultant effect of not being able to secure new orders, to get inputs because of COVID-induced lockdown measures. Now, having the clear understanding of the critical role women play in the trade sector of the Africa and beyond, and harnessing their potential will contribute significantly to the overall growth of the African continent. Such perspectives are important considering in the most African countries, women remain significantly contributors to trade vis-a-vis their direct involvement in the production of tradable goods within and outside of the shores of Africa. They are the poorest, on the other hand, even though that is the case. Even though various constraints undermine the overall contribution of women in the vast movement sector of economy, it is therefore critical that they are involved in all processes that make up local, that make up regional, and that make up cross-border trade. Unfortunately, women-owned enterprises and women in general are restricted by many barriers. I sit in the SADC NTB Working Committee, which is the non-tariff barriers, and we see these firsthand, such as access to information, technology, and impact networks that should have been useful to help them leverage opportunities to start and grow lasting businesses. Now, before the Africa trade sector can significantly impact the exploitation of goods and services, there must be an increase in the percentage of intra-Africa exports. That we are clear about. The African Continental Free Trade has been saddled with the responsibility of increasing the value of African exports through the removal of tariff on goods, among other initiatives. It is important, therefore, to know that if there is no exchange between African countries, there will be no transfer of knowledge and value addition. Said otherwise, Africa remains indebted and practically crawling on its knees, largely because there are very few exchanges of raw material. We have the women who are in beneficiation, processed goods, manufacturing products. African countries would rather import from China at times and the USA, among others, than think of the neighboring countries and how they can both benefit from meaningful partnerships. There is hope, though, which is the most important thing, to implement the African Continental Free Trade and to ensure a common platform for free trade in Africa. African nations have begun to leverage on technology innovations to enable women to be more active, thereby increasing contribution to the economy. Work is also in progress to digitize customs and border activities to ensure that there is a seamless movement of goods and services from one country to another. However, as women, we must be ready for this. These opportunities, through what Emma just mentioned this morning, collaboration, and working together. If we are not ready, these opportunities are going to come and they are going to pass us by. So we really need to get to a position where we are able to leverage on the African Continental Free Trade. Government can only offer us policies. It is up to us to implement and work with those policies. At AWIP, we consider 3 challenges that women face, partnering and partnered with multi-platforms, including ECOVA, TWA, as well as Move Better, to fast-track the intra-Africa trade via informal trade borders and leverage services as an enabler. ECOVA is a fintech digital community savings platform. We know that women bank in different ways, and some of them do not use the traditional banks. So the savings group, by giving them a digital footprint and access to finance and wealth, creating tools, and TWI is a female-driven digital platform that offers mentorship. So we look at those 3, which is capacity, which is going to provide capacity building, it's going to provide a marketplace for women, and it's going to provide finance for women. And these are the 3 challenges that we know that women usually struggle with. I think that is better. And we've also partnered with a company called Trade Forward Southern Africa to train women in trade. And this in the last few months, we looked at 500 women within SACU and Mozambique. And this, maybe I should use a mic. I'm not sure if this is working. it better now? Is it much better? I think maybe I should just hold it like this. It sounds better. Thank you. We partnered with TFSA to train 500 women within Sakwa in Mozambique. And this is an export trade capacity building project. What it does is that, one, it provides the training. Secondly, it provides the markets so that women can be able to access markets. And then thirdly, it provides women with access to funding. It is also then a great opportunity for me to have joined recently a complementary organization founded in 2010, which is the Graça Machel Trust, which is a Pan-African advocacy organization focusing on women's economic advancement and leadership, as well as adolescent girls. Our mission is to amplify, and as Mama Graça always say, first multiply them before you amplify them. So it's to multiply the role of women and also women in the region, and influence governance and promote women's contribution and leadership in the economic and social development of Africa. The Trust advocates for the removal of structural barriers, transformation of institutions, and enhance lives of women in Africa, and significantly improve their lives. As dependable advocate of women's financial inclusion on the continent, the Trust aims to amplify the women's movement by building to engage the financial inclusion ecosystem to seek ways in which women can access finance, in which women can access markets, and also in which women and their businesses, through gender lens investment called Afrishela, can be able to access funds. And this is a fund that has been created by African women for African women and designed as such. And which is the contribution to gender inclusive financial sector that places women at the core of the change and also enables equitable access to finance. By way of this, Mrs. Graça Machel's Trust has convened a high-level expert leaders group. This expert leaders group are women leaders in the finance sector and a group of strong actors to drive systematic action to advance women's participation in the digital economy. This will enhance the work already being done by New Faces, New Voices with Emma, as well as the work being done for advocating access to finance, the Network of African Business Women, which is NABU, which is here in Tanzania, and aims to strengthen women's association, the African Women in Agriculture, which is AWAP. Again, we have one here in Tanzania, and that aims to propel women's agriculture activities beyond subsistence, as well as the Network of Women in Media, to challenge current perspectives and mindsets about the African women. We've seen what we see internationally. It doesn't look like us, does it? So we want our local media to be able to challenge that status quo. And women in media also look at the mindset about women in Africa and how they portrayed in the media. In 2017 alone, the women in media members achieved to reach 1 million people. We've heard in the room that there's women in law, and we've heard that there's women in maritime, which I think is a very interesting sector. So the main important thing is for us to collaborate. And we know within the 4IR, the most important thing that we always talk about is collaboration. That is one of the key skills that we're going to require as women, is collaboration. You ask the woman next to you, what do you do? How can we work together? How can we collaborate? Because we cannot achieve these things. As Mama Graça always say, we need, I think Emma mentioned this morning, we need a movement. And she always say that we will not achieve what we want to achieve in the continent with 100 fragmented voices. And she says that women will show up, but women will not have assets, they will not have a voice, they will not have skills. So we do not want to repeat what has happened. I always say the women before us brought political emancipation for us. Us, during our age, we need to bring economic emancipation for our generation. And I usually say government will only bring us policies. It is up to us to take those policies and make use of them and implement. And lastly, what I'd like to say is that the summit aims to bring women of all ages together for the purpose of networking. This summit is looking at learning how to leverage on opportunities and solutions offered by the looming fourth industrial revolution. We all talk about the 4RR. Also, through this summit, African women and women entrepreneurs will discover the sources of capital, share experiences, and build new partnerships to enhance their entrepreneurial capabilities. or capabilities, experiences which will focus on addressing some of the challenges that women face today. Now, a last message from Mrs. Michelle was, she said to me, please, when you pass my love and greeting to Emma, tell her that when we convene a similar summit next year, then we must demonstrate results. We can't meet every year without results. And I know, Emma, this is the first time, but unfortunately, your stakes are quite high. So you've been asked that next time, what I normally say whenever I go to a summit, bring women together, bring opportunities, bring funders. And when you have those three things, we want women to walk away from a summit saying, I had met so-and-so at that summit, I learned about these opportunities, I spoke to the funders who were at that summit, and next year you come and demonstrate what you've achieved through that. And that is for us progress. And also when we look at areas where we can play a role in advocacy. And as I always say, never has there been a time when the odds are for African women in Africa like now. And however, to realize this, we really need to collaborate. I thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Mulamula, I would request Madam Shisha to have a photo opportunity because she has to leave. So if perhaps I could ask you all to stand, please, and Madam Shisha could shake Ambassador's hand. I think we gathered from her presentation how she touched on some very key issues, not only about collaboration, but about women's participation in industrialization. We would have loved to have the opportunity to ask you questions, Madam Shisha, but I am told that your driver is waiting to drive you to the airport right now. So we really appreciate your presentation, and there are lots of takeaways from that, as I'm sure everybody has seen. Asante sana, and pass our love and appreciation to Mama Graça Machel. There's something that Madam Shisha said that got me thinking when she talked about the role of women in industrialization. What I know from the Industrial Revolution that happened in Europe, and it came about as a result of the inventive genius. But I studied history, and they said one of the reasons that the inventive genius came to being was because of the needs of women. Women at that time in Europe wore yards and yards of fabric. That was their fashion. And women then demanded easier lifestyles. They wanted washing machines, easier transportation. So the men then had to develop their inventive genius and come up with ways to ease women's life and make sure that there were textile factories that produced enough textiles for the women to wear yards and yards of their medieval clothing. I'm not sure how true this is, but these are the things that we discussed, and these are the things that happened in history. So one of the reasons I'm saying this is because as women, we have that opportunity to bring about an industrial revolution, because we know what we need, and we have the power, we have the transformative power. And the inventive genius comes about because of the daily things that you do, your daily needs, and to think of how to make things easier. For example, in a science class, when you teach young girls about surface tension, you teach them about surface tension how? By cooking ugali. Why do you pour flour on top of the water, right? It's because of the surface tension. It makes the water boil quicker. That is science. So I still think that as women, we have the power and we have the opportunity to do so. At this point, I'd like to welcome Emma Kawawa, who will then welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Liberata Mulamula, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, then to give her keynote speech and officially open this summit. Madam Emma.
Thank you, our moderator. My role is just one, just to invite our Honorable Minister, Liberata Mulamula, to give our keynote speech. Welcome, Madam. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello. You know, women are known for improvisation. Good morning to you all. Na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. For our friends who have come from far, nowadays we greet in the name of the United Republic of Tanzania. Do we have anyone from where? Nigeria, welcome. Wales, from Cameroon, oh, welcome. Wales, I see the paparazzi, you're from South Africa, welcome. You know, in Tanzania, what we know best is to say karibu, karibu sana, meaning we are most welcome. But also when you leave, we say karibu, karibu tena, meaning welcome again. I was asking to know who are our sisters from the continent, because looking around, I can name everyone in the room. Let me start with my dear sister and the mover and shaker of the CEO Tanzania Women CEOs Roundtable. I recognize, of course, my dear sister, Ms. Bengi Issa, who is our Executive Secretary, National Economic Empowerment Council of Tanzania. She's one of the most powerful women in this space. But I'm also happy to recognize, I almost say the only man in the room, my dear brother Paul Koi, who is the president of the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce and Industries. But I also want to recognize the Millennium Group of Women. They are seated on that table. They have big names with them. But I'm happy to see that you have joined this summit. Karibuni sana. I'm also informed there is Dr. Amani Asful. Is she in? President of the Africa Business Council? No? She's on her way. Ah, yeah, I know her. But let me recognize all of you. I also see my dear student, and I used to call her my daughter, Nenelwa. Welcome. She was my student at the George Washington University as I taught about women and leadership in Africa. She was one of the best in the class. my pioneering class. Nenelwa karibu sana nyumbani. Nyumbani kumenoga. Karibu sana. My dear sisters and brothers, I don't think this is a group for speech. As you can see, I'm delighted to be here. And for those who know me by another name, I'm known by AKA Mama Momentum. I'm known AKA Mama Nisipitwe. So I'm in the room. Brenda, good to see you. How did I miss you? Oh, now we are in good hands in terms of our health. She's here to check on our health. But as I say, I don't want to make a speech because seeing the round table around here, you are very highly experienced women in your own fields. I don't want to turn this in a class of Nenelwas to lecture you on things you know best, on things you do on everyday basis. But let me say, it has always been difficult for me to turn down an invitation to attend, open, or close a workshop or a meeting or a summit. I want to ask him, I said, we need to go to the Center for Foreign Relations to know what is a summit. But this, of course, in its literal sense, summit means the higher level. So this is why, when I look back at my journey, you spoke of the journey, our MC. We all have a journey to share. As women, professionals, women in different fields, but even women at home, we all have a journey. So I feel indebted all the time. I feel indebted to my fellow women who have done a lot, who have made a difference. I used to tell my students that women leaders are not different. And I never want to support or to speak in the stereotype narrative of women leaders. I say a leader is a leader. Leadership knows no gender. But then, what is different is that women, we do things differently. And most, of course, in a better way. So I therefore want to thank you, Emma, and my sister who has been moving our economic empowerment agenda, Bengisa, for the courage and inspiration to organize this kind of meeting. I want to extend to you my heartfelt congratulations. I was attracted by the Pan-African women spirit because we are losing that. We need it. It has always, of course, been seen and defined at a political level. But then there is so much about the Pan-Africanism. It's about our identity. It's about our sense of belonging. And this is what I see missing in our new generation. Our children, sometimes I ask them, where do you belong? Because it's like they belong neither here or there. So bringing this Pan-Africanism is what inspired me to come. I traveled all night to be here. And I hope this is just the beginning. of these initiatives, but of this meeting. Because when I was going through the program, I see you had various sessions that would bring women from the maritime, from the health, of course, from trade, but women, entrepreneurs. But when you talk of entrepreneurs, unfortunately, Mr. Koi, you are the president of the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce. I don't know what you have to share with us, because usually when it is women business, it is about small businesses. It is about SMEs. When are we going to graduate from SMEs? For you to be able to take pride being a president of the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, you should bring the women in the room. I had expected the women, Madam Messi, to be here, who leads the women chapter in the Tanzania Chamber of Commerce. She's not here. So I'm putting you on the spot, my dear brother, that Chamber of Commerce should have a face of inclusiveness, but a face that stands for building an entrepreneurial ecosystem of African women for the fourth industrial revolution. Emma, that's why I said you are very courageous, because the fourth industrial revolution is the talk of the day, and women should not be left behind. But I want to thank you, my sisters, who came from far. You came at the right time. You came at the exciting times in Tanzania. I don't want to repeat what we have been celebrating for the past 1.5 years of having the first president who happens to be a woman, and the first in East Africa. But I know most of you in the room have been the first, and the first. But then to the Nenelo, as I say, we have been the first, but we are not the last. Our sister who just left, she spoke about government making policies and you implementing, but also government creating conducive and friendly environment for women to do their things, women and men. So as a government, allow me just to whet your appetite, that under the guidance and leadership of our President, Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, she is a champion of the women's economic justice and rights through the commitments and the coalition of actions made at the Generation Equality Forum in Paris in July last year, 2021. So she plays a big role on women empowerment that fits so well to the whole rationale of this meeting today. Under our guidance and leadership, the government of the United Republic of Tanzania is reviewing her policy and legal frameworks in order to come up with actionable and measurable plans to ensure economic empowerment of women, but also other aspects pertaining to gender equality and gender parity. I know in most of our Francophone countries, they always talk of gender parity. But then yesterday somebody was challenging me, says, Ambassador, gender parity is not the same as gender equality. I leave it to you. But in all, I must say the government is further working on designing and implementation gender responsive macroeconomic plan, is working on budget reforms and stimulus packages with the objective of reducing the number of women and girls living in poverty. We have a number of blueprints, of course, from the government, local government authorities. We have the financial acts. Madam Minister knows very well. I don't want to go through them, but then we have those blueprints. So let me say that this meeting is being held at the right place where we have a living example of efforts to empower women in all spheres of life. The African Gender Equality Index, issued by the Africa Development Bank, reports that, allow me to quote that in extenso, the African women are highly entrepreneurial. They own a third of all businesses across Africa, yet women entrepreneurs are more likely to be running micro enterprises, what I was challenging Paul, in the informal sector, engaging in low value-added activities that reap marginal returns. They tend to be entrepreneurs of necessity than opportunity, driven into small business by the lack of alternatives. Of course, this is the image they paint, but as I was walking in, I believe you all witnessed the young and upcoming entrepreneurs in the mining business. These are hardly 30 years, but then they are doing wonders to change this state of affairs and how women are always defined in small businesses. Of course, this state of affairs, as was said by our sister, is fueled, of course, by our cultural and traditional challenges that face women in all spheres of work. But the good thing is, this meeting is coming at the critical moment where the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is launching the preparation for the negotiations for the protocol on women and youth in trade under the Continental Free Trade Area. We will be hosting another conference. I hope it will be a conference of women in trade, women and youth in trade, under the margins of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. This will be in September. Please be there. So with this process underway, the AU has demonstrated its commitment to broaden inclusiveness in the operation of the Continental Free Trade Area through intervention that support young Africans, women, as well as integrating informal cross-border trades into formal economy by implementing the simplified trade regime. So there is so much about the Continental Free Trade Area. Please take interest to know what is available. It is creating one of the largest free trade areas in the world, with a new market of 1.3 billion people across Africa. So the statistics are impressive, but then we need to walk the talk and seize the moment and seize these opportunities. So I call upon us as women, as entrepreneurs, as women business associations, and of course we as policymakers, to be the drivers of our destiny We all have a role to play singularly and collectively to make sure that our voices are heard, our participation is seen, and that we reap the fruits and benefits of the continental free trade area. But as one former minister of Sweden once said before the UN Security Council, he says, women do not need a voice. We have a voice. What we need is to be heard. So I'm also here to hear from you. I don't want, as I said, to lecture you, but my onerous task is now to declare this Emma's Summit officially opened. Asanteni sana, and wish you all the best. Wish you fruitful discussions. And as I said, women, what we know most is you seize the moment and take advantage of the networking. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Liberata Mulamula. Indeed, that was highly motivating and inspiring as well, reminding us again of the opportunities that are there, what the government is doing, and what it takes for all of the women to come together. And as they say, when women come together, they can move mountains. Now, at this point, we are going to have a tea break, but I would rather we have a photo opportunity first. And I don't know how we would like to have it, but if we could perhaps just arrange to have the photo opportunity in groups. Now, what I will do first, I will call out all the speakers. Everybody who knows he or she is a speaker, could I please ask them to come up first? And we could have them stand behind the high chairs, not high table, but high chairs. So if you could have all the speakers come up first, please. Yes, madam. Yes, Your Excellency, please.
For me, doesn't make much difference.
Thank you. Now, could we have could we have the Millennium Women come up for the second photo opportunity? And next, could we have the facilitators? And I think that includes me as well. Now, can we have the remaining distinguished participants to come over? All other distinguished participants who have not had the photo opportunity, please come up. They say a picture says 1,000 words. So make sure you get your 1,000 words. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your patience. What follows next, we're going to have the tea break before we come back for the presentation by Brenda of CCBRT, and her presentation will be Healthcare Social Enterprise. But before we have this, we're going to break for tea right now. So, Madam Emma, if you would lead Her Excellency. Asante, organizers Doris and the rest of the secretariat, please lead the distinguished participants to where tea is being served.